So some friends of mine were having some trouble with their Wasteland vehicle. This is Thunderhead. It's the vehicle of the Farlanders. And it's a 1977 C10 Chevy pickup truck. As you can tell, the battery was a little low. It's been sitting for 2 years, but the 250 straight six looked like it was not in too bad of shape. It had a lot of new parts, and you can see it has a new starter, it has new wires, plugs, filter, fuel pump right there, new radiator. It's literally a new engine, and it's been completely rebuilt. So this is something they wanted me to come check out and see if I could figure out how to get it running and driving again. And look at this, it looks like I actually did it. I basically just had to clean out some of the old gas out of the fuel filter, and we put some octane booster in the 2-year-old gas in the gas tank, bought a new battery, and put some transmission fluid in it, fixed a transmission leak, and here it is. It's out on the road, it's driving. We did still have some problems with it, as you can hear in a second, which means that I have to take the carburetor off and bring it home.
Come on, baby. Here we go. All right, I've got it to the floor, man.
There we go. Get those cobwebs out of there. Shifts real nice.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. Watch out, fella.
So what we're going to do is we're going to rebuild this. This is the carburetor. This is I think they call this the Rochester like Monojet or something like that. At least it's close to the Monojet. But this is a 1-barrel carb off of that straight six that we were tinkering with, and it's a pretty simple design. I mean, it's 1 barrel. There's not a lot that can go wrong with it. You know, it has a float, and it has the choke and the throttle and everything like you would find on a normal carburetor. This is actually a remanufactured one. This isn't a Rochester. This is it doesn't even have a name on it, actually. It says quality remanufactured 3338. And I looked that up, and it's some off-brand, like O'Reilly's or AutoZone or something like that, probably a Chinese knockoff. But the great thing about the Chinese knockoffs that you get in carburetors is a lot of them aren't that bad. The older ones had parts that weren't interchangeable with rebuild kits, so hopefully that's not the case here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rebuild this completely, take it all apart, and clean it out really well. And then we're going to get this kit right here. I bought one of these simple little rebuild kits. Get some new jets in there, new gaskets, all that good stuff. Hopefully it'll be running like new. Great thing about these kits, you can't go wrong with these. These have all the instructions you need for, the greatest thing is this, it's like a blown up diagram to show you exactly how to do this. But on the back, they have all the details you need on the actual adjustments. So let's get this thing apart. to test out this float real quick. This is a plastic float. A lot of the older original ones were brass. And this has a seam right here that kind of worries me. Right there. But, good way to test it. Well, you can shake it and see if it has anything in it. It actually kind of sounds like it does. So I'm going to throw it in here. See if you can see that. It does float, but let's push it under. See if any bubbles come up. No, I don't see any bubbles. Let's see. There are a couple bubbles, but that's from the air getting stuck on there when I put it under. And it floats right back up to the top. So I think this is fine. There's nothing coming out of that area I thought looked like a seam, or I thought looked like a hole in the seam. So I think we're good. All right, so I think the ultrasonic cleaner did a really good job. You can see everything is pretty sparkly here. All these brass parts are shiny, and I cleaned all the carbon off. A couple little spots that I think if I were to do a show car, you know, it'd be a little different, but this is a Wasteland vehicle, so not a big deal. Like you can see inside there, there's still some carbon, but it's way, way, way better than it was. And the important thing is we cleaned out that bowl, and we cleaned out the jets and the all the tiny little nooks and crannies. And I cleaned up all these other little tiny parts too, just for the heck of it. This thing was covered in grease. The idle adjust screw is in pretty bad shape. It's always good to have at least the end of that cleaned off, and the threads. And cleaned out all this, blew some air through it, and made sure that nothing was sticking. This is actually the new one that came with the rebuild kit. The old one is right here. It wasn't really in bad shape though, but let's see if we can focus on that. There you go. But I'm, now that I have the rebuild kit, I have all these parts, I'm just going to go ahead and throw them all in there. So new gaskets, new, just everything, even the needle here. That needle, here's the old needle compared. See if you can get in there a little bit. It's just a little tarnished, but it's not bad. There's the new one. So yeah, let's put this thing back together now. So, I wanted to go over a few of the main things to look for when rebuilding a monojet like this. So this right here is the main jet down there, and this is a plunger for the main jet. And here's I think that's called like the power valve or something like this. This is the accelerator, the meter right here. Hope you can see all that. So the tricky part of this is getting it all attached from the bottom here onto this plate right here. Because what you want to do, let me see if I can put this down right here and show you. Okay, so you have this right here. When you move the throttle, see how it moves? Can you see that? See, it moves both of these, which moves both of these here. Let me show you again. See, one goes up, one goes down, one goes up, one goes down. That's exactly how you want it to be when you're done. It's very important. And there's a spring in there at the bottom. You have a little spring here, and then there's a spring. There's actually two springs in here. There's a main spring on the body of that pump, and then at the bottom of that pump too. And then this fits in here, right in there. Now, the rebuild kit comes with a new rubber part of this pump. You don't want to put oil on it. But you just want to make sure once you get in there, you want to make sure this moves easily, and this does. So that is a success. Next I will do the needle and seat. Oh, this is the seat right here. I'll put the needle in there and the float valve. All right, let's see if I can do this well enough to where you can see at a good enough angle. Right there, I think that'll work. So here's the float and the needle. It comes with this little tiny baby clip. Oh, I don't think we can get a... Yeah, you can kind of see it. Come on, focus. Come on. No, okay, it's not gonna do it. All right, so basically you put that little clip on the end of the needle right there. This is a new needle that came with the rebuild kit. Hook it on the middle part right here. You're not gonna be hooking it on the end here. You're not gonna be hooking it in the holes, nothing like that. You're just kind of letting it dangle there. And then very carefully, you get this. This goes through the holes. And then it goes through the hole, under, and then through that hole. Now you get this whole thing. Forgive me, this is probably not going to be a good camera angle. I'm sure my hands are going to be in the way. But that needle goes down inside there. So. And then these right here go inside the slots on the side. You can't see because my hand's in the way. Right there. Okay, so here we go. Needle in, slots in there. You can let it drop. You make sure that needle is still hooked on there. Let me see. Let me get you in there so you can see. All right, see that little pin? Come on, focus. Yeah, that pin is still there. So the needle is still hanging, and that float is right there. So you want to make sure. Now this is a very low float, so I'm gonna have to measure that. Luckily though, the rebuild kit comes with all of the things you'll need for that, including this little measurement tool, and then they have the complete adjustment table. This shows the float level. Let's see if I can get it. Float level, metering rod adjustment, choke rod adjustment, vacuum brake adjustment. This one doesn't have a vacuum brake. Unloader adjustment, idle vent adjustment. It's got a lot of things. Automatic choke. This does not have an automatic choke, so a lot of those I won't really have to mess with, but because this is off of a 75, I think he said, so it was before. The truck is a 77, but the engine is a 75, and this is a aftermarket without automatic choke. So it's quite a piece of art. So I'm going to get all this done. I'm going to measure that float valve. And just as a quick, I won't do it right now, but just as a quick little show how this is done. You just put this in here, and you make sure that that is level, the top, and then you see where the float goes up at full height, which I can't do with one hand. So we'll get that all set, and after that it's pretty easy. Basically getting this gasket back on top, getting this put back on, and then getting this right here back in with the filter over there. So you get that, the spring, make sure you get the spring and the filter back inside there. And then this screws back on the front, and then, I mean, that's it. After measuring, doing adjustments. Now, once I get it on the truck, we'll be able to play with it a lot more. This is the fast idle adjustment. You know, once the truck is running, you can adjust that to get it to where it's idle. And then the this right here is another idle adjustment. Right down there, that's the one where you basically, I've put that in there at, I put it all the way in softly. You don't want to get it to where it damages the aluminum, because this is well, actually I think this one's brass, but the metal, if you push it in too much, it can ruin the aluminum. So you get it in lightly till it stops, and then you back it out about 1.5 to 2 turns, full turns. And then from there, once it's on the truck and we get it running, I can adjust this, that and that, to get the truck running perfectly. hopefully, if all goes well, you know, with the float level adjusted and the metering rod adjusted correctly, I won't have to take this back apart once we get it on the engine. And I just jinxed that, so we'll see how that goes.